Hello, this is Loren Falsone, cooking from home. I am the chef and one of the owners of Pharmacy, which is a 1920s speakeasy here in Dr. Phillips, Orlando. And I'm coming to you from my home. We are making a delicious beef soup, which is a 2-day process. So today we are going to be making the beef stock, and then tomorrow we're going to be incorporating all the other ingredients to pull this dish together. This is going to be an abundant amount of stock, so you can freeze some of it and use it at other times, but we're really excited that you're able to join us today.
So when we make the beef stock, we are using short ribs. We're also using these amazing bones right here. Those are bone marrow. So inside is the marrow of the bone. So when they're not cooked, they're very hard. Once they cook, they're gonna soften up and you'll be able to scoop that delicious, delectable marrow out. It's amazing. So this is all going into our stock.
The meat has been in the oven for about 15 minutes. I am going to open the oven and I'm gonna check on it. It is looking really good, really delicious. You see that amazing browning, that beautiful caramelization? That's exactly what you want. You can shut the oven off at this point. And if you remember when I was talking about the bone marrow becoming soft on the inside, you can get this look right here. This is bone marrow. We serve this at the restaurant. It is a delicacy. We serve it with toast points and some oxtail marmalade. Do you see how delicious that is? It's amazing.
I'm using the word amazing a lot, and I just am tired of hearing myself say the word amazing when I'm editing this video, so I'm going to really try not to use the word amazing.
Once your bones have cooled down a bit, you're going to take them and you're going to transfer them to a pot. So just make sure your pot is big enough, because you want to be able to add your mirepoix, and you want to be able to add water and ice, as well as any juices that are in your pan. You can add those as well, even though there's going to be some fat in the pan. After these bones have cooked up in the oven, that's fine, because we'll just skim that fat off in the end. So I can just take it like this, and I can just pour that in. That is delicious. That's flavor. The fat's gonna add flavor to it, but then in the end, we'll actually be able to take that fat off. Do you see this delicious stuff right here? This is called sook, and this is the caramelization that I was just talking about that happens with meat, and it makes these delicious, crunchy, yummy pieces on the bottom of your pan, and this is where all the flavor is.
So we're gonna add in our mirepoix. Mirepoix is a flavor base made from vegetables. Usually mushrooms can go in that, onions, carrots, and celery. This is gonna act as your base profile for your stock. I also like to add in star anise into my beef broth. It gives it a nice, unique flavor. You can find star anise down the international aisle in your grocery store. You can also go to an international food market would have it, an Indian market might have it. And the mushrooms are gonna add a really nice earthy flavor to our beef stock. At the end, when you strain them out, reserve them, because they'll be really nice to use back in your soup, or you could create a really nice side dish at the end. Saute them up with a little bit of butter, some herbs, and they're absolutely delicious. So let's start off with that. I also want to make a note that when we do add our water to this stock, you want to use very cold water. Now here in Florida, our water is pretty much 74 degrees all the time, our tap water. So I like to ice it down, add a ton of ice into the water, make a really, really cold water. That is going to help extract as much gelatin from the bones as possible. That's going to be exactly what you want for an excellent stock.
So, ladies and gentlemen, this has been going overnight. All of the oxtails and the short ribs have become completely softened. The meat is literally falling off the bone. So I put it on very low last night when I went to bed, and you can see right here, I can just take my finger, you can see how delicious that is. So these are the oxtails, and we're just going to strain all of this meat out, and we're gonna let it cool because I have to go back and pick all of this meat off the bone so that when I make the soup, this is going to be cooled down enough so I'll be able to handle it. But this is the short rib, and you can see how the meat just falls right off the bone. So in doing this, we will come away with an amazing stock that we can save for a later time, and also enough stock that we're gonna be able to make our soup with. The stock has been strained. All of the bones are over here in the meat, and then we're gonna actually strain the stock for the little bits of juicy loveliness. So we're gonna come over here to the sink. I have it set up with a strainer and with a plastic container. We're gonna just strain it out. It smells delicious. It's rich and lovely, and a lot of that vegetable will come into your strainer, and you can choose to either A, throw it away, or B, you can choose to save it and use some of it for something else. So basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull out all of the mushrooms in there. I'm gonna saute them up with a little bit of salt and serve them as a side for our dinner tonight. It's gonna be amazing. Thanks.
I'm gonna really try to stop using the word amazing because I can think of a different word.
Okay, so this is the next day after the meat has been strained out of the broth. We put it into the refrigerator, and so as you can see, everything is nice and cold, which is really what we want, because trust me, when you handle this meat and it's boiling hot, super hard to manage it. So we're gonna take all of the short rib meat off of the bones. As you can see, there's nice big chunks of meat in there. This is actually part of the oxtail. You can see the oxtail bone. And we are gonna just continue to pick all the meat. This should probably take about, I wanna say like 10 minutes or so to pick it. It's, like I said, very cold, so I'm gonna be able to go through it rather quickly. And then sometimes you might come across a vegetable that you wanna save like this. So these are the mushrooms that I put in, and they're nice and soft and cooked up. You can actually save these and put them into your soup, which I'm gonna do because my boys love mushrooms. So I'm just gonna put them into the pot with all of the meat. This is our beef stock that we refrigerated overnight. Look at how all of this looks so amazing. Amazing goodness right here. And then this layer, this is all the fat.
If I say
So
amazing
we are
one
going
more
to
time,
remove
I don't
the
know.
fat. So our stock is going to be fat-free going into the soup that I am preparing for the boys. So I'm just gonna carve out a piece. Now fat is flavor. So really guys, this can be used for a lot of different things. Oops, like roux, which we use fat and flour to use as a thickening agent, or a good stock is very gelatinous. Love using scissors in the kitchen. So it's awesome if you have a pair of kitchen shears that are your kitchen shears for cooking. I keep mine in a special drawer, and I always get pissed when people take them for something else. So these are the hot spicy peppers that I hurt my eye with the other day going into the soup. Okay, so it's just in there, and the broth is gonna go in there and steam it up. So here is our amazing soup, our beef soup made with oxtail short ribs, and you guys know a little bit of the bone marrow. So all that meat's been picked, and I'm putting it right over our cooked rice noodles. Now I'm using a rice noodle because my oldest son is actually got a gluten intolerance. So that's what we do here. We do a lot of gluten-free stuff. And the broth is going right over the top. And you guys saw how gelatinous that broth was. And that is got a lot of gelatin going on in it, which is really good for our bones. And this is, like I said earlier, the reason why I've made this soup is because my son is very interested in high protein right now. So this is filled with protein and it is amazing. There was a lot of stock left over, a lot of meat left over that's not in this pot that we're gonna save for another day. I'm gonna top it with a little bit of Parmesan cheese. And this is gonna be really, really delicious. So I have my Parmesan cheese here.
Thank you. Thank you.
Just top it a little bit with the cheese. And there you go.
Mmm.
Is it good? You know how long that took me to make for you?
Yes.
A long time.
Thank you, Mommy.
Look at that mushroom. Yeah, get that mushroom. So good.
I don't have to film anymore.
For me, making stock is one of those things that my grandmother taught me to do when I was really young. And I remember being about 5 or 6 in the kitchen with her. And little information about my grandmother is that she was born and raised in Sicily. And she was an amazing home cook. And when I was a kid, she used to make these most delicious dinners. And that's one of the reasons why I think I really got involved in this industry, because I fell in love with eating at the table with my grandmother and all the wonderful foods that she created. And for her, it was just an opportunity to share her love with us is through her cooking. So I hope that in my life, in my world, I can emulate that a little bit to my own family and friends and to our customers. So I remember sitting with her in the kitchen and I asked her about how she made her stock. And she sat me down and she said, okay, sit down. I'm going to teach you right now. And I sat there just thinking to myself, I have to remember everything that she's telling me right now. I don't want to forget a thing. And then she starts off by saying, well, first you need to roast the bones. And I remember thinking to myself, bones? And I said to her, bones? That's weird, Nana. And she said, yes, because stock is from bones of animals, the kind of stock that she was making at that time, which was a beef stock. And I was a little horrified because I didn't think bones were going to be part of this equation, but they were. And so I really think that knowing how to make a good stock is an essential as a home cook, as a chef. And what you saw me make here today was a stock that was made with a lot of love. It's going to be super healthy for the boys and for myself and James, because of all the collagen that are in the bones to help our own bones. I think that when you have food like that and you eat it, it's helping your own body with its own collagen. So I just wanted to do something that was sort of a tribute to her. It is her birthday month. She was born July 8th, and she's now been deceased for quite a long time, but all I can say is whenever I make this, I think of her. I feel like I can pass it down to my own kids, and there's a lot of effort and love that goes into it, but it's really the gift that keeps on giving, because we're gonna have this stock for a while, and we can make lots of different things from it. We can freeze it, we can put it into sauces, we can put it into like our papillote that I did the other day. You can put a little bit of stock in with your vegetables and your proteins and help with the steaming. I mean, the list is endless. So I just wanted to share that little bit of personal information with you about where I fell in love with cooking and where I fell in love with making stock from scratch because it always reminds me of my Nana. And if you guys like this video, like what we're doing, please subscribe, tell your friends, share it. This is Loren Falsone cooking from home. And
Thank you guys so much for joining us in our soup making adventures, and we hope that you come back and join us another time, another day, with something else delicious. Ciao. Bye.